Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Healing with Excellence podcast. This is your holistic health expert, Kimberly Miller. And today I have a special guest with me today, Miss Alyssa Rawlings. It's so good
Hello.
to see you.
Good to see you too.
Hey, Alyssa now, she has her degree in exercise science and she wears many hats, but she's also now a certified neuromuscular specialist and a Healing with Excellence practitioner. So I'm so excited that we met years ago, like had no idea who each other were. And then we were able to help her through a healing process. And now she is helping others heal. So it's been an amazing decade.
It's been pretty awesome.
Yeah, so I met you back in 2016 when you were running an assisted living facility, right?
No,
Or
I was working in Heron Point. I was working at a skilled nursing facility as an admissions assistant.
okay, and then I know you helped a patient call us that you helped me save his life.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, and then I don't know if you can remember back, but what was that like when we first met? Because you and I, we went and did a home assessment together, and I think you thought like, who is this crazy lady? I don't know.
I wouldn't go as far to say crazy. Intense would be the first word that came to my mind. And I think a little intimidating at first because we weren't really used to having patient advocates as strong as you were. I thought it was pretty cool though, and obviously you had that impact on me where you were really trying to get to the root of that patient's healing as opposed to just putting band-aids on problems.
Yeah, it's so funny. The first time I ever heard the word that I was intense, I was like, at first I was kind of offended, but I'm like, wait a minute. To help you heal something incurable, don't I kind of need to be intense? So I'm so grateful. I honestly appreciate that description.
Yeah.
You know how it's hard, like you don't know what that person on the outside is viewing the first time that they meet you. But yes, that person specifically had been my client for 2 years and then was put in the VA hospital and sadly went from zero medications to like 10 medications in under 3 months and went from fully functioning, driving, doing athletic sports into a complete full-time wheelchair in a skilled nursing facility at 42 years of age. So it was devastating to me to see such a stark decline. And because I knew the history, I was passionate helping because I knew it was the medication he was on causing the decline, not his original diagnosis. But I don't know if you remember much about that.
I do. And the biggest thing that sticks out to me too, and what really made me want to reach out to you when I was having issues later on down the road was when he came back to visit us a couple months after he had been discharged, and he came walking through the front door, and where he had been, like you said, in a wheelchair, unable to take care of his ADLs, all of that. And then he came walking through, and I just remember my coworker and I just said, this is amazing, this is a miracle, to see something like that. So that's what kind of got me intrigued on what your process was.
Yeah, no, I just got chills when you said that. But no, it was a very profound time. And luckily that he got to live another 10 years of his full life. So it's awesome. Still alive today, but going through his own challenges. But now what I want to talk to you about that is after that, I mean, there was at that time after I met you, I was trying to figure out how do I have this woman work with me? I think you were even trying to come work with me, but I was going through a transitionary point where I didn't want a large facility anymore. But it's just so amazing now that we're more like colleagues. But at one point, I was like, I hope she can come here as an employee. It was awesome. But I know you were dealing with your own health issues. And I think it was like within maybe 2 years, 3 years later, you actually came for yourself. What were you dealing with that you weren't getting answers from traditional medicine?
Okay, so I had been dealing with what they kind of determined were PVC, so irregular heart arrhythmia,
Mhm.
for about 2 to 3 years, with no solid answer. I all the monitors I had, all the tests I saw, electrophysiologists, I saw everybody that I could possibly see, and they basically said it's just an electrical problem, and we can do an ablation. Didn't really want to have that done, so passed on that, and kind of just dealt with it,
Hmm.
and just knew that they would come and go, and I kind of just pushed through, powered through, whatever. And then I started having muscle fasciculations. I started having could not gain weight at all, no matter how hard I tried. So I finally just went and had some random blood work done. And that was when I decided to reach out to you because I had a gut feeling that that advice I was getting from that doctor was incorrect.
Mm-hmm.
So my HDL was low, my LDL was high, and I had my B12 was basically non-existent on there. And her advice to me was that I needed to do more cardio. I needed to eat less eggs, less red meat, um, and all of that. Train more. I told her that I trained 6 days a week, and this at this point I weighed 98 pounds.
Mm.
So none of that made sense to me in my mind. None of it made sense to my husband. None of it made sense to anybody. So that's why that's why the reach out to you, because I was sick of not feeling 100% at 37 years old, and an athlete. So
Yeah, no, and it was so crazy because a lot of what you had went through, I went through in my early 20s and again in my early 30s, and I dealt with low HDL, which to those of you that don't know, that's like supposedly the good cholesterol. All cholesterol is actually good. It's just helping you determine the balance. But actually, my HDL was extremely low. And again, I was like you, to just share with the rest of the public, we both had slight disordered eating. I had what you would have diagnosed with athletic anorexia in my early 20s, but we didn't have that formal diagnosis back then. And you can share part of your story. But I also ate extremely regimented, and I didn't realize I had low HDL because I wasn't getting enough calories to produce HDL. And I definitely didn't need to exercise more, but the common train of thought is exercise more to improve your HDL. And what's so sad is like some physicians don't even ask how somebody moves and how they work out or how they eat before they say exercise more. I don't know if you'd already told your physician that you were exercising 6 days a week, but could you imagine someone that's 98 pounds that has low HDL that may have body image distortion or an eating disorder being told by the respected physician to do more exercise?
and that's exactly what she did do. I did tell her my exercise regimen. I told her everything that I did, and it was just okay, then go ahead and do more. And that's what the internet said as well, because I did go down that rabbit hole
Yep.
of googling how I could raise it, and everything on there. Nothing on there talks about the importance of caloric intake, and overtraining.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. And when I was trying to teach a kids like general wellness camp one summer camp I was teaching, I could not find one piece of information from the government that I could just print and share that actually even talked about the quality of the calories. Everything was just talking about like carbs and sugar alcohols and total calories, but nothing about the quality of the calories and the nutrients that we needed for our body to function. So when you said you had non-existent B12, and then this physician tells you to eat less red meat and eggs, especially for your heart, that's the opposite information because like what I was doing and like you were, we were
Mm-hmm.
both in the fitness world. My personal training certificate said that, animal protein had B12. Well, I didn't know that it took 5 chicken breasts to equal 1 4-ounce serving of B12 that's in ground beef or grass-fed beef. So I was eating chicken and turkey and fish and egg whites, but didn't realize that I needed red meat and eggs, whole eggs, to get my B12 levels to the requirement to prevent like depression and nerve pain and to add like even part of your fasciculations can be related to B12. But can you believe again, you were told the opposite of what you would do to actually reverse that dysfunction?
Yep.
Yeah, and chronically low B12 can cause an autoimmune flare, can cause mental health changes, chronic depression. I had a very slow pulse, and like you, I had an irregular heartbeat also. So when you came, what did you feel was different about our session? Like, can you remember some of the things we went over? Because again, it's been 6 or 7 years now.
Um, Well, first of all, no doctor ever sat down with me and actually went through every single part of my blood work,
Hmm.
and told me exactly what each part had to do with. So that right there, that I mean, that's basically how we opened up our session, was you going over my labs. And I mean, I think you had pinpointed answers within 10 seconds of just looking at truly looking at those labs all together, not pulling one out of context, but putting them all together, and just I think one of your first questions you asked me was, what do you typically eat during the day? And you still ask me that all the time.
Yeah.
But that was the first question you asked. And when I started telling you, you light bulbs went off and you could pretty much tell me you're not eating enough. You're
Hmm.
not eating enough and you need to eat more for your HDL to get high. And I said, but they just told me that I need to eat less and train more. And so that was mind blowing. And then the neuromuscular portion of it as well. The no doctor had ever really gone over that with me either. So that was a whole different ball game as well. You really took the time to find the root of what was going on rather than just pick a diagnosis off your list and go with that.
Yeah, and what a lot of people don't realize, and we talk about this in the podcast in relationship to the heart and high blood pressure, is that if you have a muscle problem going on in your neck, often on the left side of your neck, it can impact the phrenic nerve function and change the rhythm of your heart or impact your diaphragm function. So not only are we going to look at is the person getting the right fuel for their heart to operate correctly or getting enough fuel, but also are they having a neuromuscular compensation that is impacting the communication from the brain to the heart and back from the heart to the brain. And so that's why we did the neuromuscular assessment. We talked about your blood work. And then the other thing that we did that a lot of practitioners or physicians don't do is we measured your lean body mass and your basal metabolic rate, your caloric need. And again, not me giving like customized, like a dietitian, but just using the formula that based on your energy output and your height and weight, how much energy needs to come in to operate that vehicle effectively so you don't have a misfire. And in the fitness world, we're taught to look at like body fat percentage and sometimes trying to get it lower, but nobody's teaching us how lean body mass and sustaining lean body mass also has to do with the vitality of our heart, our brain, our lungs, and our nerves. Like, what did you feel when we went over like the basal metabolic rate and the caloric need?
Well, first because of the mental issues that I was having as well with the eating, the semi eating disorder. When you were telling me how much I needed to eat, I almost had a heart attack because I was like, "There's no way that I can eat that much in one day
Mhm.
without working out this much." Because in my head, everything I ate, I had to burn off. Everything I ate, I had to burn off, which was also never addressed. And until that is addressed, you can't overcome. You can't. You basically were the first person to ever tell me it's okay for you to eat a full plate
Mhm.
at one time. And people would look at me like I was crazy because
Mhm.
I was so thin. What did I have to worry about and all that? And they don't understand that mental battle that you have going on inside your head. And you did, and you addressed that, and that helped me be able to overcome that thought that I could eat.
Yeah, no, it's crazy you said that because I can remember when I was going through some of the things you were. It took me 3 years to feel comfortable eating a full plate of food again after I learned cellular science and what the cells needed to have. And I was just getting some education from like a 70-year-old scientist out of Oregon and all these different people that I'm thinking, oh, if I listen to some of what I'm learning from this guy, he's a man. I'm going to be 300 pounds if I eat how he's telling me to eat. But once I started really looking at the science of it and understanding that when I was staying lean, that I was actually losing some of my heart tissue and my bone and my cartilage. I was realizing some of my weight loss was actually accelerating my degeneration or the disease process. And so once I could look at that scientifically, it helped me gain more buy-in without fear that I was going to be improving like bone density and cartilage and muscle mass, that I wasn't going to be just getting fatter or bigger by fueling my body, especially if I gave my body the right energy that it needed. So you felt like that information helped you feel more comfortable?
It helped me tenfold to be more comfortable to eat what I needed to eat. I was missing out on so many vital nutrients just by eating the way that I was eating that I thought was healthy. Like you said, growing up in the fitness industry, we eat what they tell us to eat,
Mhm.
and it's the exact opposite.
Yeah, and what's so sad is I've worked with many people with anorexia, bulimia, again, body image distortion, and many of them have been to some of the top clinics in the world, very expensive clinics, whether it's psychiatry, psychology, mental health counseling. And a lot of people in the mental health world believe eating disorders to be one of the hardest to solve or almost incurable. But from what I see, it's just a lack of education, a lack of knowing. As soon as I understood that eating would just make my bones denser and make my muscles firmer and help me heal my eyes and prevent hair loss, that completely changed for me. And when I started measuring, not for neuroticism, like because I was fat, but measuring to make sure if I gained weight, it was lean body mass and not body fat. Or if I lost weight, I was only losing fat and not muscle and bone. That completely changed everything for me where I was not as scared to eat. And it helped me work through that process of being able to eat a full plate of food again.
Right.
Yeah. And I was going through the same thing with you with various heart issues. And it was just, I didn't realize the heart needed specific fuel. And we're not taught that. My cardiologist just kept monitoring, watching my heart. I'm like, are we going to watch till it gives out? Like, my
Yep.
heart rate's getting slower and slower and slower. And it's not just because I'm so fit, because I have a dull chest ache, I'm getting palpitations, racing, like you could hear it whooshing in your ears. And so I'm sure you felt some of those same things, right?
I felt crazy is what I felt
Mhm.
because it nobody could give me a reason why. Nobody could give me a reason why until and honestly, as soon as I started taking the B12 supplement that you suggested I take and eating steak again and eating egg yolks that I had been eliminating from my diet, I think it was maybe 2 weeks, and I did not experience those palpitations anymore.
Yeah, it's
Um,
amazing.
so
Yeah, between the nutrition, the neuromuscular correction, and I find when you just alleviate someone's fear or the ambiguity and you make them feel like they're getting competent answers, just that begins the healing process because they're not guessing. And if you're like me, I'm like, wait a minute, I'm going to the specialist, I'm going to the physician. I'm as fit and as lean as I possibly can be. I'm eating clean, I'm exercising, and I still have all these issues. I'm like, I guess this is just my fate. I guess this is going to be my outcome because you're like, if you're going to the best of the best and they can't teach you how to fix it, and you're already eating better than the majority of America and exercising, then what do you do if you're already doing all that?
exactly, exactly.
It took a lot for because I was very scared for years and just accepted I was going to have like stage 4 cancer before they figured it out. And I was just so blessed that I was led down the right path after that. So after that time frame, we started eliminating the heart issue. You started feeling comfortable to eat. And then you had been trying to get pregnant. And I didn't know that at first when I met you. And then all of a sudden you're messaging me like 8 weeks later, like, hey, this is what was happening. But what happened with that? What was going on with you guys trying to have a baby?
Well, we had Quinn. So our goal was we had been trying for about a year to have a second. We weren't. It wasn't imperative that it happened, but we were looking forward to adding another kid to our family, and we had been trying for about a year, and it wasn't happening. So I just said, it's probably not God's plan to have it happen, but I remember you telling me too is that God knew my body was not in a state that would be able to healthily carry a baby full term.
Mhm.
So I think God was protecting me from that. And once I corrected the diet and all of that, I mean, yeah, I don't even think it was 8 weeks and that we got pregnant. That I was sending you that positive pregnancy test, and it was pretty awesome, and it was a very easy pregnancy. It
Yeah.
was it was it was cake.
That no, that's so amazing and to know how awesome it is. So a lot of people don't realize that your body needs this nutrition to keep you alive. And then you're kind of like a 3D printer that's going to create a whole new body inside of you. And you need materials to do that with in a healthy way. Either it's going to impact the baby from being healthy or you from being healthy if you're not getting what you need. And your body kind of thinks, gosh, I can barely keep her organs functioning correctly. How am I going to make a whole new life? So once you started getting what your body needed to operate your heart and your thyroid and your nerves, bones, and muscles, then it felt like it was going to have the materials to create this new, healthy, beautiful baby.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And she's how old now?
She is 2.5 now.
Okay, so 2.5. And the majority, if most of your symptoms are still gone from the past, right?
Yes, I very rarely get any. If I do get heart palpitations, I know exactly why though. Now it's
Like what?
because I didn't eat enough that day, or I might be a little low in my B12 or anything like that. I can pinpoint those and fix them myself. So instead of becoming riddled with fear and anxiety,
Mm-hmm.
I now have the tools to correct those things myself. And I have made it okay to only work out twice a week or maybe 3 times a week if I feel extra good. Whereas where I was before was if I didn't work out 6 to 7 days a week, then that was it. I was going to be 800 pounds and, just awful. So mentally and physically, in a much better place.
And you're still phenomenally fit and lean. And now, how old are you now?
I'm 41. I
Oh
just
my
turned.
gosh, 41. It's so hard to believe. And we've known each other, gosh, since 2016, almost 10 years now.
I think, yeah, yeah.
That's so awesome. Now, if we go back, because this is something I didn't know before. So, and it's sometimes hard for individuals to come to me that have professional training, whether it's physical therapy, nurse, physician, nurse practitioner, exercise science. What would you say was left out of your degree program that you did not learn that you learned through the Healing with Excellence practitioner and the neuromuscular training?
So, besides the definition of what a cell is, I think that's the only thing that they covered in my my degree that has actually brought any I take that back.
I
So
know.
I did learn some exercises and how to create programs and all of that. But as for just everything else, I mean, if I could take away that degree and just insert what I have now through you, I would have done that. And that's my advice to anybody coming out of high school would be to take your courses instead of going the college route. And I'm not exaggerating, I'm not kissing butt or anything like that. That's truly what
No,
what I would suggest.
and I 100% understand. And I'm grateful that you're saying it because sometimes people just think I'm like trying to sell them or it's my ego. I'm like, no, this is 28 years of study, practice, mistakes, learning from the best of the best, and stealing from like each of those amazing humans. And then my own self research and self healing to really help people get the cliff notes to what actually matters to healing and the muscle function and top performance. And no, I agree with you. And for me, my path was to be either a radiologist because I wanted to know every pathology or a dietitian. And I chose the dietetic route because I had body image distortion and thought if I stayed as fit and lean as possible, that I would be treated better by my spouse at the time. And then I started getting chronically ill from what I was learning conventionally and realized that I was investing time and money in the wrong direction. So I left that degree program and started studying this specialty area. And then again, really practicing learning self study of the cell because you really can't buy a book that has all these answers. You have to kind of put it together. Soon,
Mm-hmm.
be a book. But as a whole, learning how to correct the neuromuscular system, addressing body composition, caloric need from a different standpoint than a dietitian would, and then definitely learning how to work from the ground up at the foundation with vitamin deficiencies, cellular stress. Again, it changed my complete projection at 33, reversed all my chronic diagnoses. And now, like, I'm 48 and I have zero diagnoses and I feel absolutely amazing. So I'm so grateful that you're experiencing the same thing.
Absolutely. And just on your intake paperwork as well, stuff that they don't discuss in those degrees is the environmental aspects of everything. The chemicals. I mean, I use the Bath and Body Works lotion and the plugins and the just synthetic everything, which just hormone disruptor on top of hormone disruptor. And then, we're all wondering why we can't get pregnant and all of that. So, that too, that's left out as well. And it's sad.
Yeah, and some people think it's just calories in, calories out, and that it doesn't matter what the quality of the calorie is, and that's just not true. It really does matter what those calories are made up of.
The Ensure shakes are not that's what one of my doctors also recommended for weight gain was to throw a couple Ensures on top of my egg whites that I was eating.
That's absolutely insane. You know,
So,
it's crazy. And I share with people that do want to have a degree. I tell them, get this education for your own base knowledge, even if it's just to live your best life and save your life. Because if you have this education going into the rest of your life, your aging process, your stress levels, your empowerment is going to completely be altered for really until you leave this physical realm. And I wish I had learned this at 19 and 20 and I didn't feel like I lost years or possibly took years off my life and didn't learn that into my 30s. I'm
right.
glad I had the blessing to be able to learn this because my grandmother lived until her 90s. So if I get, 4 or 5 decades to have this wisdom now, it's awesome. But if someone can start off younger knowing this, and let's say they do decide to get a degree to complement just to have the designation, they're going to understand what actually is going to give them the greatest result in their actual career, whether they go to be a PT, exercise science, or even just cell biology. If you get a cell biology degree and then put it together with this, I mean, you'll be absolutely phenomenal at either helping yourself heal, your family, or anybody that comes in contact with you.
Absolutely.
Now, if we can think about this, because again, there's so much that's happened over the last decade. Is there any other way that you could say that this has helped you with either your family, friends, or new clients that you've had?
Um, so I think that by being heard and by figuring out what was wrong, and that the answers are so easily found when you know what you're looking for.
Mhm.
It helps out a lot. I had a mental block for a lot of years that I feel like I've overcome now, and that allowed me to have better relationships. I had a lot of abusive and not good relationships that tore me down, and now that I know my worth and all of that, I am in better relationships, better to be. I feel stronger as a mom as well, because the last thing I want are my daughters to see me talking negatively about my body, or
Mhm.
see me only eating little bits of food because mom's afraid she's going to gain weight, or whatever. I want them to look up to me as a healthy, strong person, because that's what I want them to be. I don't want them to ever look at themselves and not think that they are beautiful or worthy or enough or anything like that. So I think that this has helped me become a better parent, a better wife, all around. And now to have this knowledge and be able to help some of my friends and family that are in the same realm as I am, the
Mhm.
same fitness realm, to be able to teach them how to be healthier, better athletes, is huge as well.
Yeah, now you've practiced Muay Thai, right? Kickboxing,
Mm-hmm.
love soccer.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so we've talked about that too. I've worked with athletes, but I also work with a lot of people with incurable diagnoses. But in your situation, there's so many athletes I've worked with in the past that they were taken out of their sport too early, or they were getting repetitive injuries just because nobody taught them about how much energy and what kind of energy their body needed for like solid ligaments, tendons, communication from the brain to the muscles. And then, or they didn't understand this neuromuscular assessment through neuromuscular restoration. So again, I feel you're going to be a huge asset to like the UFC world, Muay Thai, any athlete that wants to be at their top performance and reduce their likelihood of injury or to get back into the sport quickly after an injury. Like you're going to be such a benefit to them because it's a passion of yours.
That is the goal. It is a passion, athlete, sports, all of that. So
Yeah, and again, same thing with disordered eating. It's really hard. Like I have some other people that are on their weight loss journey that are health practitioners and they do neuromuscular testing and they're gifted. But let's say they're trying to help their niece that's got an eating disorder. Well, because that practitioner's in the process of their weight loss journey, if they try to tell the young niece to eat more or that they need to, the young niece isn't listening to them, even though it's scientifically right. So sadly, we do judge a book by its cover. And what's
mhm.
awesome about the situation that you're currently in, and the same thing that I went through, that you are still maintaining a healthy, optimal weight, eating the most food that you've ever eaten in your life, and eating the taboo foods we were told not to eat. So if you get a 19-year-old athlete that's scared to death to eat, and you teach them the science and you share what you've been through, even though we want them to trust anybody, no matter what their size and weight, especially if they're saying real science, you're going to be able to help them gain buy-in so much quicker than like a 50-year-old psychiatrist that it's telling them to eat more at their
Right.
facility, you know?
Right.
Yeah, it's just crazy because this is how it works. So what I love about, and I don't know how you felt about the education program, but in my walk, I believe we can't give what we don't have. And like what you said with our daughters, I was very scared my daughters were going to just get on a scale 4 times a day like I did. And I used to just diet for that scale. And my self-worth was really connected to that. I was so grateful that when Faith was 5 or 6 is when I learned how to break free from this. And that Caitlin, my second daughter, really didn't start with any of that misinformation. And I could just say to the girls, we have to eat to feed ourselves. We have to eat for our muscles. We have to eat for our thyroid and our heart to work right. I could more talk about how the body works and why we ate to feel our best, age our best, versus just get on a scale and feel like we're not enough because we went up by 2 pounds.
Exactly. I feel the same exact way and say the same exact thing to my kids as well.
Yeah, I would drink a bottle of water and then get on the scale an hour later and forget that was 16 ounces. That's a pound. So I'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm up a pound. I was thinking my ass was getting bigger by every second. And I'm
Gotta go for a
I
run.
drink a bottle of water like it's a pound. But again, nobody ever told me that, and nobody really talked about it. And it's just crazy. It wasn't until I started measuring multiple fitness clients and I'm like, gosh, this woman looks amazing. And I was measuring her and like, wait, she's like 2 inches bigger than me everywhere, but I think she looks awesome. But I thought I looked like 10 pounds, 20 pounds heavier. So people don't realize whether you're 300 pounds or you're 110 pounds how you view yourself internally, you could feel like you're 300 pounds at 110 pounds. And I know people think it's crazy, but it really is a disordered thought process based on past trauma and misinformation with diet. And I'm just so grateful that I got to live it so that I could heal my own demons and understand it scientifically. So that way, when I get a young person that's scared to death to eat, that I can help set them free because my mind was consumed by calories and fat and inches and my weight to the point I lost years of creativity and love and things I could have given to people and to myself, all because of misinformation or lack of information.
Absolutely. I think of a lot of family events I missed out on, or just, time with family that I missed out on because I needed to work out 3 to 4 hours a day instead of hanging out and prepping for Thanksgiving because while everybody else was prepping for Thanksgiving, I had to go out for my 6 mile run so that I was allowed to eat
Yep.
turkey and mashed potatoes and all that. So I do, I'm not going to say regret because we do learn from everything that we go through. So if I can help somebody else prevent them from doing that, that's the goal on that one. So
Yeah, no, it's interesting you said I remember I made a lie one time I was supposed to go out with some friends, but I was up 1 pound on the scale. I think I was at 113 pounds at 5'6", which I should be like 130 or something. I think I was about 113 pounds. And because I was up a pound, I thought I was going to look so huge going out with my friends that I made up a lie that I had to help my mom. And I went to the gym and worked out for an hour and a half instead. And because I had not worked out that day, I felt like, oh my gosh, there's no way I can miss my workout. So I lied to them and told them I couldn't go out because I was helping my mom. And I was
yep,
literally working out because I felt so fat.
absolutely. And the sad thing is all it takes is one person, one comment made to you telling you you're fat or your body is gross or whatever.
Mhm.
It takes that one comment, and that one comment just is like a parasite, and it infiltrates your brain, and you just let it eat you alive. And it took a lot of positive comments for me to finally come back around to, that is absolutely not the truth. So
Yeah,
if
one comment can rent a lot of space in your head, and people
it
don't
sure
realize
can.
it stay there for 20 years or longer. And what's so crazy, half the time the person making the comment isn't anyone you would even go to for advice, but because it was someone else that said, or maybe it was adult, you like, or some guy or some girl that you liked, it just sits in your head. And you're like, I got to get thinner, I got to get thinner, I got to get thinner. I'm not enough. I'm not enough. I'm not enough. I know, I understand.
Yep.
And some people think it's got to be this big traumatic event, like, the person had to go through, molestation or some kind of trauma, being beaten at home. And literally, some of those one-liners that people said to me in school or at work rented more space in my head than some of my most traumatic moments.
Agreed.
I just asked a young girl that the other day. I said, "Who said something to you when you were younger about you being fat?" And she's like, "Oh my gosh, how did you know that?" I'm like, because I know.
Yeah, been
Um,
there.
yeah, I've been there. And it's so crazy because it wasn't even a valid thought, but because you have no leadership and some people would rather make a negative comment than give you a positive feedback, that person doesn't realize that maybe nobody said anything positive to you because they assume you already know that you're fit and lean or pretty. More people said sarcastic, rude, or judgmental comments. And then that rented that space that took over any of the good thoughts we might have had. And then maybe your mom tells you something good and you're like, it's just my mom. So you don't
Yep.
believe.
She has to say nice stuff to me.
Exactly. That's bullshitting me. So I smile, but they love us the most. And most of the time they are telling us the truth. No.
Absolutely.
Well, I am so grateful that you've been part of this journey with me. And I am forever grateful that we got to meet back in 2016, the way that,
Me too. Me too.
and
It was God's plan, and his plan always is for the best. So,
yeah, and I'm glad that you trusted me enough to help with that situation because it was a scary situation. And to be able to learn so much more about how amazing the human body was through that, it's almost like I got my PhD in how to help the body heal through that process. And if you would not have believed in me or trusted that there could be something done, you could have really halted that transfer. You could have really put a stop to it. So I was so grateful that you allowed me to help as a health surrogate and that you supported the transfer home versus that person just dying in a skilled nursing facility at 42 years of age.
yep, absolutely.
Well, I appreciate you, Alyssa, and I cannot wait to see your future success stories. Thank you for applying your walk. Like I love that we walk the walk so that we can learn how to perfect it and give that to others. But just thank you for doing what you're doing for the world. I'm so excited to see what's yet to come.
Thank you for doing what you do because I would not be here today if it wasn't for the information that I received from you.
Awesome, sweetie. I can't wait for us to create miracles.
Yes, ma'am.